guys? So today we're going to be taking a look at the Marvel Legends 80 Years Wolverine and Hulk 2-pack. And if I'm being honest, this wasn't initially a 2-pack that I was really all that amped up for because I already have so many Wolverine figures, but I don't have a comic version of Hulk. All my Hulk figures are all based on the MCU, so I was really looking forward to that. Aside from having other Wolverine figures, I also wasn't really a fan of the mask on this Wolverine. But then I went on Marvel Unlimited and actually read the comic, and it kind of hyped me up a little bit more to actually get it in hand. And once I got it in hand, I absolutely love it. I actually think this may end up being one of my favorite Wolverine figures in the end, especially since it's based on his first appearance. But let's go ahead and get these guys out of the box and take a closer look at them. Okay, so I do have the figures out of the box right now, but as I was taking them out, I thought it would be a good idea to do something for the hardcore collectors, the people that keep the boxes and really appreciate this for what it is. And so I wanted to take a look at the box art. Now, at this point, Wolverine was actually working for the Canadian government. He wasn't a member of X-Men. They actually referred to him as Weapon X in one of the scenes in the comic, being sent out to go ahead and try to bring down the Hulk. Now, for the Hulk, this is kind of how I remember Hulk as a kid growing up. You know, basically just wanting to smash, but it does give you that retro feel, and I think it's pretty cool that they put the cover of the actual comic book on the back of the box. And taking a look at the side here, these are actual shots from the comics where at some point you can see that Wolverine actually got subdued and he's tied up in chains. And not to spoil anything from the comics, but it wasn't Hulk that tied him up in the comic. It was someone else. So like I said, it's worth reading to figure that part out. So I won't spoil that for you. And then on this side, you get a shot of Wolverine in action, kind of jumping, breaking out of the chains for one, and then flying through the air. I myself keep all of the boxes to my action figures. And as a collector, I think it's worth keeping certain boxes more so than others. But I think this being an 80-year series, I think this one is definitely one that you'll want to hang on to. Anyways, let's get on to the figures themselves, and we're going to start with Wolverine. Okay, so taking a look at the Wolverine, he comes with two accessories, and those are just the closed fists with his claws retracted. The body type is one that I've never seen before, the upper torso. I'm not sure if it's all new. It's not one that I'm familiar with though, because it's sort of like a butterfly joint, but it's just this area in here that I've never seen on any of the figures that I have. But it does allow him to get his arms back pretty far. It doesn't really seem to benefit all that much, I guess, going forward. I mean, I guess it may help some. I'm not really sure. But it's similar to a butterfly type joint, so I don't know if this is something new that they're doing or not, or if it's been done on previous Wolverine figures. You guys who've been collecting longer can let me know. And he also has ab crunch, so you can get him bent down that far. You can get him pretty much straight. He doesn't really lean back too far. His head, you can get him looking down that much, up that much. And he has thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and ankle pivot. He also has double jointed elbows, as you can see. And his arms are like super buff. Like this is this is Wolverine in his prime right here, man. Look at those arms, my God. Even up here, like underneath the little straps right there, you can see ripples. I love the expression they have on his face. He just looks fierce. I mean, if you're going to make a first appearance, this is the way to do it. The claws on his hands here are the standard that we've seen with other figures. You can remove them if you want. They kind of stick in there. I'm not going to mess around with them too much. And as with the other figures, the claws tend to stiffen up a little bit, so if you want to get them spread out more, then you can just take a hair dryer and, you know, lightly heat them up and then run them under cold water, and that'll help get them positioned the way that you want to do it. And I'll put a link to a video that I did on that a while back of that heating and cooling method of straightening out action figures, because it comes in useful in other scenarios as well. So let's take a look at the back of Wolverine here, and you can see he has the stripes coming around at different angles. He has the red belt. As I mentioned, he wasn't a member of the X-Men. He was working for the Canadian government under the Weapon X program. so you won't see an X-Men logo on them or anything like that. I don't even know how many Wolverine figures I have at this point right now, but this one stands out for me. Him and the retro one with him in the brown and yellow suit, I think are probably going to be my two favorites. It's hard though, because I mean, I love pretty much all of my Wolverine figures. The only one that I'm kind of on the fence on is the cowboy hat Logan. You know, I don't. I'm gonna have to look into the story on that one. I'm not really feeling that one right now, but maybe I'll change my mind at some point. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the Incredible Hulk. Okay, so the Incredible Hulk out of the box, and I am thoroughly impressed actually, because it wasn't until I got him into the light that I noticed the shading job that they did with him. So you can see that it goes from a darker green up here to a lighter, and you see that same shading on his feet, on the fists, on the arms, a little bit on the face, but I think that really makes this stand out. And for my first Hulk comic-based action figure, I'm excited to have this as the one. One thing I will say is that the shirt that he's wearing, you never see him actually wearing that in his fight in the comic with Wolverine, but I'm glad that they, you know, threw that in as an additional accessory instead of just having him bare-chested. I think that really gives it that look like he's busting out of his shirt and showing him as the true brute force of nature that he is. You get two additional hands, so you get one closed fist over here, so you can display him with two closed fists, or you can have him with two open hands, or any combination that you want. The shirt that I spoke of, you can pull it off as so it just kind of drapes over his shoulders. It's not something that's pegged in or anything like that. I'll leave it off for a second so I can go over articulation. So as you can see, already he has waist swivel for his head. That's about as far up as you can get him looking. I mean, he's looking pretty much straight on. He will look down that far, however, and you can get him looking side to side. Again, he has these butterfly type joints that like I said, I don't know if this is something new or not. I've never seen it on a figure of this scale, and it's similar to how the Wolverine figure is made. He has bicep swivel up here, single jointed elbow, not double jointed, but he does have double jointed knees and ankle pivot. They're all so important, ankle pivot. So you'll be able to get him in some pretty good stances, and I'll try to take a couple of pictures to kind of show off what you can do with him. Let me see if I can get him standing up. So his hair has some green highlights in it, black and green highlights. I'll have to take another look at the comic to see if that's how it was in the comic. But you do have that mixture of black and green in there, so it's not solid black. He has the mean mug on his face. He's pretty upset at this point, obviously. He's already fighting Wendigo, and now Wolverine jumps into the fray, so Hulk isn't too happy about it. So I'm definitely happy to finally have a comic-based version of Hulk in my collection. So now let's go ahead and go to my final thoughts so I can tell you what I think about this 2-pack. Alright, so moving into my final thoughts, one thing here, this shot will give you a good idea of the scale so you can see how much bigger the Hulk is than Wolverine, and I love that. I love the fact that Wolverine is so short but is yet so powerful. So the scaling, I think they did an amazing job with that. The shading effects they used on the Hulk, the fact that they threw in the shirt being ripped up, and the additional hands as accessories for both figures. And I don't really have a whole lot more to say, man. I mean, go pick this set up immediately. If you're a comic fan and you're into Hulk and Wolverine, this is definitely something that you're gonna want. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is this a 2-pack that you plan on picking up? Have you picked it up already? If so, what do you think about it? Or are you gonna pass on this completely? If so, tell me why in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Turn on notifications so that you're notified anytime I drop a new video. I have some cool content coming up, some more giveaways on the way. So thank you guys for watching. As always, thank you for your support, and I'll see you on the next video.